welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following episode. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is the Viking himself, Andrew Meadows. I thought about starting it with it before I even got into the spiel, but I figured that would be poor form.
Yeah, we're here to talk about Vikings.
The Northman himself, excuse me, Andrew Meadows. Vikings, The Northman, Robert Eggers' latest film. It's
if you can even
here.
call it that.
Work of art. His latest work of art. How's that? Is that more to your liking? This is awesome. I mean, it's very exciting. We're basically doing like two, I would say, pretty art house films back to back, between Everything Everywhere All at Once and now The Northman. One of these films had nearly $100 million budget. Maybe it was this one. Very interesting choice, but
is it money well spent? We'll talk about it.
Money well spent, perhaps. We will talk about it. I'm very excited to talk about it, as I'm sure Andrew is. This is kind of, I think, probably one of the biggest films of the year for, I think, at least you, and I think it rated up there for me, right, in terms of like hype levels going in.
Oh, right, yeah. Trailer really set it off for me. Once I saw that trailer, just the moment when he catches a spear and chucks it back at the guy. It's just really cool.
And the good news is that's barely scratching the surface of what's in the film itself. So
yeah, we'll talk about that too. So I did come prepared with a baby fun fact. It's
baby fun fact. All right, I don't have any, so it's on your shoulders. So what do you have?
So fun fact is Alexander Skarsgård. This isn't his first time being a Viking.
Okay.
He's according to Robert Eggers, he is a massive Viking fan. Like he's really into Vikings, and he actually played a Viking in True Blood many moons ago. And I don't have that guy's name in front of me. I just kind of remember
the character's name from True Blood.
Yeah, I don't remember the character's name in True Blood, but I remember Alexander Skarsgård playing him.
Eric Northman. How about that?
Eric Northman playing the Northman. How about that? Yeah. So that's a little fun fact for you.
So he's a Viking vampire? Is that what's happening here?
That's right. Yeah. If a Viking isn't terrifying enough, make him a vampire. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Well, I know that he's part of the Skarsgård clan, of which there are, I believe, at least 4 actors in the family, including Father Stellan, Brother Bill, and Brother Gustav. And I think Gustav was one of the major characters in the Vikings TV show, which I've never seen.
Oh, really?
But I think got like 6 seasons, something like that. And I don't know if any of the other family members ended up in that show at any point, but yeah. So it's they're all about Vikings with the Skarsgårds. I'm sure Stellan's done something along those lines, but you know.
They're from like what, Sweden?
Yeah, they're Swedish.
Yeah, I mean, like the Swedes were like totally Vikings, right? Norway, Sweden, all that. They were amongst
Yeah.
Like
so
it's their people.
It's kind of the roots of their people, right? Sure. So
and if anybody's going to act a particular way, if anybody's going to have pride in a character, let it be of your heritage, right? Like that's pretty cool. Having, being able to play the Vikings were a brutal people. They were they did a lot of really terrible shit.
They didn't fuck around. Let's put it that way.
No, they did not. It's cool and all. So, acting roots are strong in the Skarsgård family, and no strangers to Vikings. So,
indeed. So, all right. Well, you want to do some news for now, and then let's further flesh this conversation out with the Northman.
Let's do some news.
All right. So we actually have a lot of like news, like straight up news. One trailer, which I think is fitting for this episode in a funny sort of way. But we'll start with actually a couple film delays, both on the animated film front. As it turns out,
we were beyond this shit. I thought we were like it wasn't going to happen again.
My guess is that neither of these are pandemic related necessarily. Well, maybe they are. Maybe they aren't. I don't know. My guess is to me, these both remind me of like video game delays where like, shit, we need more time to work it out. Maybe it's just because they're animated films that I'm thinking that way. So maybe that's not actually true. But Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse is the first of those films. It has been bumped from October of this year to June of 2023 of next year. I concur. I think it's bullshit. I think it's absolute fucking bullshit. But I suppose if Sony has to get things right, then
let it be right.
This is a film that make sure that everything is ready to go before you put in cinemas. I want the most pristine, perfect version of this day one. So yeah, June 2nd, 2023, we'll be getting Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, what that means is that it's sequel because basically. So this is interesting. It was originally going to be Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, and then Across the Spider-Verse Part 2, and consecutive years. They've now renamed the third film to Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, and that is going to be coming March 29th, 2024. So there will be less than a year wait between 2 and 3, but we've got over a year to wait now for Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, that's okay. So I mean, they give us a punishment and then give us a little reward. Is what you're saying? They incentivize us to wait. Yeah.
So once we get to Across the Spider-Verse, then it's going to be we're going to be sitting pretty waiting for the next one. So that's not so bad. So that's what's going on with that. I think they shuffled a lot of release dates for other things. Madam Web, for instance, is coming July 7th of 2023, which I know you're very excited for.
Oh.
Honestly, that's probably about it. This will not be the last time we talk about Sony and their bullshit, for the record, but we'll get there. In due time.
I thought I read somewheres that Sony announced Venom 3. Is that news?
It is. It's we can just do it now. It's fine. There are a few things that I'm going to talk about towards the end of the news segment that pertain to an event that's actually happening as we record called CinemaCon. And so a lot of major companies have made appearances there, including Sony, including Warner Brothers. And they've a lot of the stuff is, they've given like footage and trailers and stuff, most of which are not online. So we're just getting like descriptions and like announcements kind of rolling in. So I kind of glossed over a lot of it because I figure it's inevitable that like the trailers and stuff eventually come out. Like for instance, and I'm talking about it now, so I'm just going back on what I was going to do. The Avatar sequel, the second Avatar, is now called Avatar: The Way of Water, and we're going to be getting a trailer for it in front of Doctor Strange. So that one we'll circle back around to whenever the trailer comes out. It'll be online a week after it debuts with Doctor Strange. So one way or another, our asses are going to be seeing Doctor Strange. We're going to see the trailer, and we're going to talk about the trailer.
Avatar 2, The Way of Water.
Avatar: The Way of Water, yes. The first of 4 sequels that James Cameron, the absolute goddamn madman, is making, or has made. I guess is in the process of making. Presumably 2 is pretty close to being done, and then the others, he filmed a lot of them. I don't know if he filmed all of them, but whatever, man. Yeah, so Sony announced Venom 3. No surprises there. Venom 2 was pretty successful financially. One would wonder is Morbius somewhat performing mediocrely? I don't think that's a word, but I'm making it a word. Mediocrely. Would that be enough for them to hit pause on like certain plans for their universe of Spider-Man characters? And I think the answer is nope. Full steam ahead. So we'll get to the worst of it later. But Venom 3 is confirmed. Yes. So we'll tack it on right there. But Across the Spider-Verse 2023, Beyond the Spider-Verse 2024. Very, very much looking forward to that side of the Sony film house. Based on Into the Spider-Verse.
So it's like a room.
They know what they're doing there. Let those people do their magic, and I will be happy to see what they produce. The other stuff, maybe not so much. But Another animated film that is being delayed is Nintendo and Illumination Entertainment's upcoming Super Mario Brothers film,
With Jack Black.
was with Jack Black, with who else is in it? Fucking Charlie Day, Chris Pratt, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, and Anya Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach. Northman's energy there, you know. It was supposed to debut just before Christmas this year, December 21st. It's now going to be hitting theaters April 7th of 2023. It's only about 3.5 months there. Not too bad, but it unfortunately means we don't get it as a Christmas present, which I'm looking forward to this. It sounds ridiculous. I mean,
it does.
You know, I want a trailer for it, you know, that I think that'll really give us a good idea of what they're going for. I think the voice cast is obviously a pretty good indicator that it's not exactly the Mario that you're familiar with from the games, who mostly just says his name and woo, woo, woo. Yeah, no, it's going to be a little bit more than that. He's going to be Chris Pratt, just Chris Pratt and about, which is kind of what he does in everything these days. But
that's okay.
Fine, that's fine. You know what I mean? So April 2023. The only one that
would have been better is maybe
Brothers.
Ryan Reynolds could have been Mario. I appreciate him, Ryan Reynolds, in about.
Yeah. I mean, that's all he does at this point too. So, you know, they got a gig that works for them and pays millions of bucks.
I wish I did too.
I mean, yeah, like, you know, that would be great. That would be fantastic. I get to be myself. Get paid millions of dollars. That sounds great. What a gig. So anyway, some animated films to look forward to in 2023, certainly. Now moving into some other casting announcements, actually. You got a few of these. This one's not exactly hot off the presses. It broke over a month ago, and I just haven't managed to put it in the news until now. Christopher Lloyd has joined The Mandalorian, season 3 of The Mandalorian.
As who?
We do not know who's going to be playing. As The Hollywood Reporter states it, details for his role are being kept locked in the trunk of a DeLorean. But it's being described as a guest starring appearance.
I hope he's like a long forgotten Sith. Christopher Lloyd, Sith Lord.
Could be a Sith Lord.
Almost like the animated version of the Visions. Remember that Japanese guy? The Japanese guys with the 2 lightsabers.
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Give me one of have Christopher Lloyd be that guy.
I don't know. I'd be fine.
Or mad scientist, a scientist that's got to fix his shit.
Certainly well within his shtick. Didn't he do like I feel like he appeared in like an ad or something as like a live action Rick from Rick and Morty.
Yeah, he did.
That? Okay.
How old is this guy?
That's a great question. He's got to be.
He looked old as hell in freaking Back to the Future, right?
I'm gonna guess late 70s to early 80s.
He looks 60 years old in Back to the Future.
He's 83 years old. So the man is
okay. He's almost. I wasn't far off then. He was almost.
No. Yeah. You know, he was of a decent age when he was Doc Brown.
Good for him.
Good for him. He's guest starring. I mean, I don't know. He could be anything. He could be mad scientist. He could be Imperial. He could be Sith Lord. I mean, who cares? It's Christopher Lloyd. I'm happy to see whatever they do with him. Is kind of how I feel about it, quite honestly. So I think it's very exciting. I think that the season 3 of Mando has also wrapped filming as well, from what I understand. No set release date, although Star Wars Celebration's coming back. They're doing it in Anaheim this year, in I think just a couple of months' time. So we'll be having lots of announcements, I'm sure. Maybe some release dates and stuff like that. So
could have done that for a bachelor party. That would have been fun.
Yeah, probably a little more expensive, but would have been very cool. Yeah, we'll go again sometime.
To another Star Wars Celebration, we have to.
Yeah. You know, maybe when it's a little closer to either of us, and not so much. I would fly across the country for it. To be honest, if I had a few more bucks in my pocket, I would do it. I would say, or if they, you know what it is, Disney is listening. We're journalists, man. We're fucking journalists, dude. Like, we'll cover that shit.
I need my stat. I need my press. I need a press badge.
Give me a press badge. I'm happy to do it. I'll pay for my flights out there if they spot us for Celebration and get us spots in all the panels.
That's it.
Maybe some exclusive interviews would be great. We could talk to Ewan about Obi-Wan Kenobi. Would make Anna extremely jealous. Just saying.
We could talk to I would talk to Ewan. Is that what you said? Ewan McGregor?
Yeah, we'll talk to him.
Totally.
We'll talk to Pedro. Pedro seems pretty cool. We could have a chat with him. That would be fine. I'll talk to Carl Weathers. Ask him about,
I'll talk to anybody.
Burger King, whatever comes up. Anything that comes up, I'm happy to do it.
We would be good interviewers.
Stick me in a room with the puppet of Grogu. I'll have a good time. It'll be fine.
That's it.
Anyway, Christopher Lloyd joining The Mandalorian Season 3, probably late this year at the earliest, possibly next year seems more likely, but who's to say? Maybe we'll find out. Who's to say? So yeah, other exciting casting news, I think particularly for you. Justin Bartha is coming back as Riley. He's coming back as Riley Poole for the upcoming Disney Plus National Treasure series.
I can't wait for this. Were you big in National Treasure?
I was not. So this is something that Anna and I think it might have been around the 4th of July last year that we watched both of them because they're on Disney Plus. They're
national treasures.
They're national treasures, that's for sure. I see what you're saying. Yes. Yeah, honestly. They're really fun. Really fun. We had a conversation, something had been pointed out to Anna, that the geography of how Nicolas Cage traverses Philadelphia makes no goddamn sense, and he mostly just travels through space and time to arrive at Reading Terminal Market, if you recall that particular conversation. But yeah, those were the first time that I had watched those films. She loved them, like, growing up. I know you did as well. And we talked about it a little bit. And they're fun. They're Uncharted, Indiana Jones-esque adventure, globetrotting type things. Like
Indiana Jones with Nick Cage.
That's a blast. And Nicolas Cage being fucking ridiculous.
That's right.
Not like, up to 11 Nicolas Cage. He's probably
not
dialed
like
it to like an 8 or he's at like 7 or 8 Nicolas Cage territory. Mm-hmm. But that's like the sweet spot. That's the sweet spot of Nicolas Cage for something like that. You know what I mean?
And instead of having I can't remember the little boy that helped him in Temple of Doom.
Short Round.
Instead of having Short Round as your sidekick,
you got Riley. Yeah, you got Riley as your sidekick. So yeah,
it's good stuff.
Riley's a franchise mainstay, and he's going to be hopping onto this series.
And Nick Cage is on it as well.
The sad news is that Nicolas Cage is not going to be appearing in this series, as far as we know. Never give up hope, I suppose, but it doesn't sound like he's expected to appear. So I think it's going to be a probably modern day set thing. With a principally new cast, new mystery, whatever the case may be. But Riley's going to be in it. So, I feel like that's a pretty good hook. If it wasn't just, it's nice that it's not just we're doing the same thing over again type thing. We'll do a continuation, but it's still in the same continuity and bring back some fun faces. Hopefully more than just Riley. If Nick Cage makes even like a 5-minute guest spot, like in the season finale, like sold. You know what I mean?
That's it.
So,
and the concept's cool, right? Like a serialized globetrotting adventure.
Yeah, I think it could be really fun to see it as a series. I feel like, I don't know, I can't really think of anything that's quite hit the mark. Like, honestly, Moon Knight has episodes that have like sort of vibes, but not as a series. It's not that. It's
right.
Not really
exactly.
That entirely
it's not what it's set
all
out
the way
to
through.
do.
So yeah, I'm down for this. It sounds cool. I don't know if we have any expectation of timeline for this one either, but probably I think it's shooting now. Sounds like so maybe late this year, early next year again, same thing. So some more goodness coming to Disney Plus. So I'm down for that for sure. Now to circle back to Sony and wonder what the fuck they're doing. I'm just going to read you the fucking headline, and I want you to let me ask you this: have you clicked on the link yet?
No.
Don't do it. Don't click on the link. I'm going to read you the headline, and I want you to explain this sentence to me. Or the headline, I guess. Okay. Bad Bunny to play Spider-Man character El Muerto in standalone Sony film. What does that mean to you? What does it mean to you? Tell me about it. Just take a crack at it.
Okay, so I'm going to start by saying I don't know Bad Bunny, but I think Bad Bunny makes suits. I think when I was shopping for suits, I think there was a line called a suit line called Bad Bunny, and I thought that they looked pretty. I thought they looked pretty cool.
Honestly, that's probably true, and I have no reason to say that you're incorrect.
Okay, so we're going to move on to play Spider-Man character El Muerto. I can't even pronounce it. In standalone Sony film. I have no idea who that is. Well, I have no idea who El Muerto is.
Do you want to guess how many comic book issues, literally comic book issues, the character of El Muerto has appeared in, and the entire Spider-Man set of comic books from his inception to modern day? Do you want to guess how many issues he's appeared in?
It can't be many. I mean,
it's not very many.
10?
I will 10? Tell you that. 10. That's a good guess. You've added an extra digit compared to how many digits you need to work with. So it's 2. He's appeared in quite literally 2 issues of this entire comic book universe.
They're making a movie about a comic book character that's been in 2 comic books?
You're goddamn right they are, because Sony says we do whatever the fuck we want.
I'm clicking on the link. I can't hold out anymore.
And go for it at this point. There's a lot to unravel here.
What's his deal?
All right, let's start with Bad Bunny, because I didn't know who the fuck Bad Bunny was either, to be honest. Bad Bunny's a Puerto Rican rapper, singer, producer, actor, apparently, and apparently professional wrestler, who is, by all accounts, actually very popular. I don't know if he's just not terribly popular in the United States, or if I might just be out of touch. I might be an old. I might be an old, and I might be out of touch. I'm willing to concede the possibility.
Latin trap reggaeton. He's probably pretty cool.
So
looking him up now. I don't know what Latin trap is.
If I've heard any of his music, I couldn't tell you that, but it's certainly possible I have. And
we're definitely just old and out of touch, because he won a Grammy for Best Latin Pop.
Clearly seems to be a very successful recording artist, and good for him. He's 28 years old, so he's pretty young. So, good.
And he was an F9.
And he was apparently an F9, and I had no idea about that either. So I've clearly seen him in a film before. Hey, there you go. And
he's in the upcoming Bullet Train movie.
He's in the upcoming Bullet Train, and it sounds like that is what has spurred this. So this guy's, a successful artist. He's having this character in this upcoming film, Bullet Train, and Sony apparently saw him in that, and they thought, we got to get this guy to do something for us. So what do? They approached him saying they wanted him to do something, and they let him pick who he wanted to play. And that is how this film has come into
wild.
Its inception. Is basically he must have gone pretty obscure with this shit, like pouring through, and I think he was trying to find Latin characters to play, which obviously is a pretty limited pool, generally speaking. So that's, I'm sure, partially how you end up with the character of El Muerto, is basically trying to find like a Latin character. And I think that...
Is it that limited? It can't be that limited.
I don't know that it's that limited, but
2 comics.
It's certainly limited. That's I think this is probably the most obscure comic book character to ever apparently receive a feature film ever. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. There are unpopular characters, or there are characters that are like lesser known characters. Like, who would have thought we'd get an Eternals movie? You know what I mean? But like, this is like, I don't know what the equivalent is. I don't know. I don't know what the equivalent is.
So what's his deal? What's his?
All right. So El Muerto, aka Juan Carlos, is a superpowered wrestler who originally fought Spider-Man in a charity wrestling match in which he nearly unmasked the web slinger before being stung by Spider-Man with a paralyzing poison.
That's pretty brutal with Spider-Man.
So, and then he teamed up with Spider-Man later on, I guess in the next issue or whatever. So yeah, it's like
to defeat Dorado. Who's Dorado?
I don't know. He's probably also appeared in 2 issues. It's kind of like making a Bonesaw movie, I guess, with like Bonesaw and Spider-Man teaming up maybe at a certain point. Although Spider-Man won't appear in this, because that's not how these things work. Is they make all these standalone villain movies where it's everyone but Spider-Man that's allowed to play, and come along for the ride.
All right, Sony, we see you.
Honestly,
El Dorado character. El Dorado wears mystical gold armor.
I actually have two thoughts about it. First, I'm just baffled. Obviously, I'm baffled that they're going to spend millions of dollars on something like this. And the thing is, in a vacuum, honestly, fine, whatever. If this guy's popular, you're obviously banking on his popularity, and I guess you have the rights to Spider-Man characters, so you're going to make this thing and whatever. And all right, you know what I mean? On the other hand, even though I'm baffled, honestly, okay, whatever. If they're going to make this, I can guarantee that Kevin Feige is looking at this thinking, well, shit, I'm not worried. He's not upset that they've now taken El Muerto out of his hands and they're going to make an El Muerto film. Whereas they're making a Kraven movie, and it's well, fuck you, Sony, man. Just fucking put Kraven in a Spider-Man movie, you assholes, So it's kind of, this one is just is this going to make money? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's going to be fine. I mean, I'm not going to be worried about them ruining something that I'm familiar with.
Do you think it's so obscure?
About.
I think it's so obscure that maybe it's not.
It might as well not be a Spider-Man film.
Spider-Man movie.
Because it's exactly. So, is this going to have any tangible connections to Spider-Man? I think that's probably the bigger concern, is that they try to tie it so hard to Spider-Man the way they did with Morbius, where it's just everything has to be Spider-Man related, except we have to dance around everything Spider-Man related in doing so. You know what I mean? That's I think where they could really struggle with making this. If they just make a fucking movie about this thing and just this character that happened to appear in 2 issues of Spider-Man, that could be completely fine. Don't spend a lot of money on it. Maybe it'll be successful. I don't fucking know. I'm still baffled.
I don't know.
I'm still ultimately baffled, as I am with most things that Sony chooses to do with their millions of dollars, at least on the film side of things. But El Muerto, man, it's fucking happening. January 12th of 2024. You better get ready for it. All right, you better get ready for it. Bad Bunny. It's not a good name. It's not a good. I don't. Maybe I'm just an old. I don't know, man. But anyway, Justin. This is. Son of a bitch. I said something about it last episode and I cursed myself. I was just I'm going to bundle some Fast and the Furious news so I don't have to talk about it on the next episode. And then drama happens.
Oh, no.
Days into shooting the film, just days after starting, Justin Lin, the director of Fast X, has exited the film.
No!
Citing...
How? Why? What type of drama is that?
Creative differences, which, as the entire internet has speculated, and I agree with, this man is tired of Vin Diesel's shit. Is I think pretty much how everyone is imagining this is going, because all Vin Diesel does is cause controversy on the sets of Fast and Furious films, and apparently alienate people such as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who has said that he will never come back to the franchise because of Vin Diesel. So man. I'm just saying, there's no definitive evidence to suggest that, but we're not trying to convict him. We're just saying, sounds like Vin Diesel is very controlling and difficult to work with in terms of things that he's clearly very passionate about. And I don't know. I mean, whatever. I mean, it is kind of Vin Diesel's thing at this point. So, ride or die or whatever. But anyway, Justin Lin says, "I'm fucking good. See you, bro."
Who you don't man
who himself is pretty much a franchise mainstay. Directed 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, and then
he's the only reason.
And then 9.
I think he's the only reason the movies are as successful as what they have been.
I agree. I think he took. Tokyo Drift is fucking Tokyo Drift, and
that one
is Fast and Furious. But Fast 5 is legitimately excellent, and that was Justin Lin, and then 6 was good, and then it kind of felt like it went off the rails a little bit. And honestly, F9 wasn't exactly back on the rails. It was, but he just has a certain flair and feel for the franchise that I think works well for it. So it is disappointing.
And that's what you come to expect now. You come to expect ridiculous flair from a Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah, and I think he has a specific style that when he stepped away from 7 and 8, you could see those films felt different. And it's not that they were much worse or anything like that, but they felt different. It's In a bad way. You know how David Yates has a very specific style and made all the Harry Potter films look boring and gray and bullshit?
Yeah, right.
Justin Lin had a very consistent style, but it worked for the franchise. He shouldn't have been...
Sure.
David Yates needed to be fired 5 films ago, but Justin Lin, I think, letting him finish the franchise would have been great. So anyway, he's stepped back as director. They're going to be doing some second unit stuff, I guess probably just cars driving around and shit while they hire an actual real director to finish it out. Is it just going to be Vin Diesel directing it himself? I don't know.
Oh, there we go.
I think he might. You
want to do it, Vin? You do it yourself.
He directed that short film that they made when I think they were filming 4 or 5.
I remember that. Yeah.
So he's got some experience behind the lens, behind the camera. See what happens.
If he's got such an opinion, he should do it himself.
I don't know.
It could be greater.
You know what? This could be completely unrelated to Vin. Maybe Vin is completely innocent, and I'm just running the man's name through the mud for no reason. But I feel pretty good about this one. Feel pretty good about it. But May 19th, 2023 is when Fast X is expected to debut. Sounds like they're not planning on moving the date. Sounds like they're already in conversations with people to take over as director, and I guess theoretically they'll get the get things, they'll get the ship righted, and we'll see what happens with it.
Well, we'll see. I mean, it'll either right the ship or the fucking sink it.
Yeah. Or they'll drive it into space, into the moon, or
if it's a 90-minute terrible Fast 10 and it happens to be the conclusion of the whole Fast and Furious franchise.
Don't worry. We still have one more after this one.
Oh,
they already announced 10 and 11.
They're filming them back to back, right?
I think they're supposed to, yeah. So, yeah, they kind of need a director for that. All right, maybe Vin won't do it. That might be a little too much for him to handle. But
or they'll get the when Disney had those creative differences, they hired fucking Ron.
Ron Howard. He'll get Ron Howard to do it.
They'll get Ron.
You know what's so funny? Anna was, I think I was in here editing, and I could just hear her like sigh, and then she's just like said out loud, like, some people are just so fucking stupid. And I was just like, all right, let's see what's going on here. And I asked her, and she was looking at a Twitter thread of this announcement of Justin Lin stepping away, and she said like the third comment was like Robert Eggers. Everyone was just like, what?
That'd be pretty good.
I would certainly watch that.
Could you imagine? That'll put people in seats, man.
Man,
I mean, I don't even know what that looks like.
It doesn't, I think, is the honest answer. But I would love to see that. I would love to see it happen. I never thought I would see Cary Fukunaga direct a James Bond film. So, weird pairings can happen, but that one might be a little too far-fetched, perhaps. But it's nice to dream. I wouldn't even want that. I would be fascinated, extremely curious to watch it, but I don't want it. Like, that feels to me a real waste of his talents.
From what I've read about Eggers and how he likes to direct his actors, I don't think him and Vin
he wouldn't get along very well with Vin.
No, I think they'd end up getting into a Viking fight.
I think that seems likely. I agree. And I'd put my money. I put my money on Eggers. I don't even know what the man looks like, but I bet after months of making fucking the Northman, dude's basically just he's got Viking in his blood at this point. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to very exciting pastures. At CinemaCon, Warner Brothers made some announcements. They teased some footage of the Flash. It's interesting because I feel like all the headlines were like Michael Keaton's in this, and Michael Shannon's reprising in his role as General Zod, and it's like, is anyone else in that? Is there anyone playing the Flash in it? Huh? What? No, I don't think so. I don't think
that one dude just got arrested again. Yeah. Didn't he just get arrested
again? Did we even
talk
talk about that? I don't know if we did. I don't know if we actually talked about it on air.
We talked about the first time he got arrested.
Yeah,
I don't think we talked about the second time.
Yeah, I mean, just WB lawyers are losing their fucking minds. They're just bashing their heads into desks over and over and over again every time Ezra does something in Hawaii.
It's just the funniest memes of like, this is Hawaii. You know, there's like something going on. It's Hawaii, and it's labeled as Hawaii, and then Ezra. This is Ezra, and like, there's I don't know. I've seen a ton of it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, they're having some issues.
Poor guy. I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, I could just be a piece of shit, you know, or they could be going through some. I don't know what's going on with them, but WB's got a fucking headache dealing with it. I can guarantee that.
Yes. At some point, they're just going to say, "Listen, we just can't take it anymore."
I mean, we're like in the middle of the fucking Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing, and like, I don't know, man. Like, they're still rolling with Amber Heard for Aquaman 2, and it's kind of just.
After this jury, we didn't talk about the
we haven't talked about it at all, but I mean, I don't.
Have you seen any of it?
I've been following it a little bit, you know, but I just don't see how you part ways with Johnny Depp on Fantastic Beasts and then keep Amber Heard around for Aquaman 2. Like, I think it's totally justified to fire Johnny Depp, you know, but I don't know.
It's also completely justified to fire Amber as well.
Yeah.
Right.
And I also, you know, and I would also say for both of those roles, like, no big loss. In fact, you could upgrade it. Loss. I didn't watch the third Fantastic Beasts. I don't know that I will, but I can tell you Maz is a fucking huge upgrade. You know what I mean? Right. Like, you literally had a net positive by getting rid of Johnny Depp. Like, that's good. Like, that's what you should do.
It's like when everybody fought to have Kavanaugh be a justice. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, we could just avoid the conflict. Just pick someone else. There's so many qualified people. It doesn't matter if they're right or wrong. You could just avoid the conflict. Pick somebody else. Like,
man, just wanted to have beers with PJ and Squee, man. Oh, and sexually assault women. That's fine too, I guess, apparently.
Beers with the bros.
I mean, hey, it's not the only justice that's done it, so what are you going to do? Anyway.
Beers with peas and squeeze. That's what you said.
Oh, that was when he was having beers with his college buddies. I think PJ and Squee or something.
Beavis and Butthead characters.
Basically. Fucking ridiculous, man. Jesus Christ. Anyway.
Somebody's broke the timeline continuum. Like, it's we're in a branch right now.
Yeah. We need Michael Keaton, or some version of the Flash to come around and fucking
Ezra Miller can fix it all.
Flashpoint the shit out of everything, because God, we need it at this point. But in terms of other things happening, Black Adam got a trailer. Barbie is heading to cinemas summer of 2023 with Margot Robbie as Barbie. Maybe she's a Barbie girl in a Barbie world.
Who's Ken?
I don't know who's Ken, but apparently John Cena is in it. So I sincerely hope that he's Ken. Oh no! Oh, it's Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling is Ken. That's actually excellent.
Ryan Gosling is Ken. That's Margot Robbie is Barbie, and Ryan Gosling is Ken.
So
we got a trailer for that. It's a casting.
Just a casting, and there was a picture of Margot Robbie, who just looks like Margot Robbie in a pink car.
Okay.
Will Ferrell, Simu Liu, America Ferrera, Kate McKinnon, Michael Cera, Issa Rae, also starring
in Barbie.
Pretty good fucking cast.
That might be compelling.
Not bad.
Might be a Sarah Me movie. We might go see Barbie.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. John Cena is in something else. He's in Coyote versus Acme, whatever that is. He's not in Barbie.
Is that a Roadrunner?
It sounds very Roadrunner-esque, but I clicked away, so I don't know. It'll remain a mystery until a trailer comes out. All right, the real piece of news: the Batman 2 is happening. It is official.
Excellent.
Matt Reeves will return as director. Robert Pattinson will return as the Batman. And that's all we know so far. But
that's enough. I'm happy.
Indeed. It's about time that they announced it. Kind of felt like, all right, this movie's made, $750 million or whatever it is worldwide. Like, that's a pretty good fucking success for a 3-hour dark, grungy, noir Batman film. Like, let's have some more, please. Thank you.
And it's been well reviewed, right?
Yeah, great reviews. I think pretty beloved by fans overall. So yeah, it just kind of felt like a natural, like,
I don't think
when's
I've
the sequel
talked to
happening?
anybody. I talked to one person that didn't like it, and they said, I just don't know why they need to make another Batman movie. And it was very long. That was the argument. I don't know why they're making another Batman movie, and it was too long.
I mean,
I say, okay,
right. I mean, that's somewhat the trouble with all of these characters getting lots and lots of, movies. It's like, by the time you get to the third Spider-Man reboot, you're kind of just like, fuck me. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not really thinking about, like, Marvel Studios having the creative reins, like, I could see you thinking, well, the last two were real shit. I don't think I need another one. Or the X-Men films at a certain point were, like, really, really big diminishing returns. And then Logan comes around, and you're like, all right, well, okay, well, fuck me. I guess they do know how to make one every now and then.
But see, I didn't watch Logan when it came around because I was so tired of
Because you're
X-Men.
done with it. Right. So it happens to everyone. And I think Batman, I mean, obviously the Dark Knight trilogy, I think, is pretty highly regarded
well
overall.
regarded. Yeah.
But then, the Ben Affleck Batman stuff was just like, I'm good. It took all of 2 film appearances for people to be like, I'm done with this. I think I'm good. But then, you let fucking talented Matt Reeves get on board, get a great actor in Robert Pattinson to lead it and make it this thing that's totally unlike any other Batman we'd ever seen.
Yeah. You make a noir crime movie with Batman.
I think as
That's
long as you're game for it, then like, it's awesome. You know what I mean? So I for one was very excited for it. It was like maybe it's definitely one of my favorite Batman films overall. The test of time is going to be the best measure for, like, okay, does this jump above Batman Begins and The Dark Knight for me? I don't know, but
I don't know if the rewatchability is there, like it is in those Christian Bale movies.
Yeah, perhaps not. I mean, I saw it twice and enjoyed it both times a lot, but
it's so heavy. But but I think, like, I don't know, Chernobyl's excellent, but I'm not just because I don't have a burning desire to go out and watch it again.
Well, it's funny you say that.
Well, why is that?
Well, we'll get into it, but perhaps we're talking about a film today that I'm not going to rush back out to see in cinemas, but that doesn't mean that I disliked it. So anyway, we'll get into that in due time. But anyway,
does it mean
I will be more likely
incredible
to rewatch the Batman before I rewatch the Northman, is what I'll say right now. And in fact, I did watch, like I said, the Batman twice in theaters. I enjoyed it, both times. But yeah, I mean, it's a 3-hour investment. It's dark and honestly, I wouldn't even watch it when the fucking sun's out because I'd no,
you can't.
I need blackout curtains for that, or I need to wait till fucking 9:00 at night. Like, it's just like I would only watch it with like the certain conventions and like the timing and stuff like that. But I could I don't know. It just the vibes of it.
I did turn it on when it
because it's on HBO Max now. Yeah,
it got released on HBO Max, and I just kind of fast forwarded when the Batmobile started up.
Yeah.
And I just turned my shit up really loud.
Like, you just did it as a little test. I mean, I pre-ordered the fucking steelbook of it, so I'm going to watch it again at some point.
That's it.
But yeah, the Batman 2, very excited. Probably at least a couple years away. But I'm just, it's much as was the case with Dune Part 2. Just the confirmation that it's happening is just like, I'm good. I don't need to know any other information. I'll happily enjoy the first one for a while. And then the hype machine will begin anew, and it'll be time for the Batman 2, which will probably be called something besides the Batman 2.
Do we do Hush? Is it Hush?
Hush feels too similar to probably what they just did with the Riddler. I'm not opposed to a Hush at some point, but I just worried that would feel too samey. And I feel like
do you do the owls? Like, do you follow that?
Court of Owls would be fucking awesome. I
don't know anything about the owls, but I hear good things about it.
Yeah, if they did Court of Owls, I would be extremely pleased. And it kind of felt like they, could have, they wrote it in a way that I think that they could play off of how they did it and build to Court of Owls. I know we talked about it a little back, but Matt Reeves is specifically name dropped doing Mr. Freeze potentially as something that he would find interesting and exciting to do, which, hey, if you can figure out a way to do it, I'm all for it. The Joker, obviously they set up the Joker in some form. I don't really need a Joker right now, but certainly involvement from the Joker is fine. I don't know. There's a million different directions. Poison Ivy. We talked about Poison Ivy. Get Jessica Chastain in there. Fine with that.
He used Venom.
You could
do a Bane. If you know,
there's a few things we've talked about, and I think there's a few. There's an infinite number of directions you could go in. Maybe do a crossover.
Just don't pick El Muerto or whatever.
God damn it! You beat me to the joke, you son of a bitch. I was just gonna say they could do a crossover with El Muerto, a little cross studio crossover. Get the other Batman in there, aka Morbius as well.
Wavelength.
Son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. All right, let us conclude the news segment with, I think, a fun connection to the Northman, a very different flavor of Norse mythology and Norse gods. Brought to life in Marvel Studios' Thor: Love and Thunder, which we received an official teaser for, arriving in theaters July 8th. I mean, it's been a long time coming. This thing's only a few months away. We haven't seen shit from it.
Oh my gosh!
Now we have. So what do you think?
It looks incredible. I'm really excited about it.
I liked that this felt like a true teaser.
It did.
Didn't really give you a whole lot of the plot. I would guess that a lot of what we saw is from the first half hour of this film. And so we kind of don't really know exactly how it's going to play out. I mean, we know that, and how we know that is because we didn't see a single shot of Christian Bale, who's playing the fucking villain in this entire teaser. Right. So we know that like a huge element of it has been held back from this. But it obviously ends with a pretty big sting with the tease of Jane Foster wielding Mjolnir. She looks fucking great. She got swole as fuck for this. That was what I'll say. So
does not look so good on you, Nat. Like the same person.
No.
Also, Thor's lost a lot of weight.
He's been working it off.
He's been working off the weight. And I saw some. I don't know a whole lot about the villain and like the comic. I know loosely about it, but I don't know. I've never read anything, so I don't know actual stills. But from what I've read online, there's a frame where he's on a cliffside with Taika Waititi's rock character,
Korg, right? Yeah,
with Korg. He's on like a mountaintop with Korg overlooking like this giant dragon looking thing,
right?
And apparently that's a god that got slayed.
Yeah. There's did you see there's like a side by side where it's like almost a 1-to-1 recreation of a comic book panel?
Yeah. So I mean, like the reference for like the source material is just it's off the charts, man. It's awesome.
Yeah,
so
I feel like, especially in Ragnarok, it felt like a good riff on like a big comic book storyline. Like that had elements of Planet Hulk and some other like more specific Thor stuff. But then it still just felt like it had the Marvel Studios touch, but it really had the Taika Waititi touch. You know what I mean? Where it just it's just imbued with such a sense of humor and joy that makes it pop a little bit more. Because
it makes it feel like a live action comic book.
Yeah, it makes it feel more comic booky. It's like really colorful. And like Hemsworth is having a blast. Like he's kind of in the sweet spot finally for like how to play this character. He's gone from like something a little closer to what you saw in the Northman, where he's just a serious fucker. He's not anything like what we see in the Northman. Don't get me wrong, but something a little closer to a serious version. To just it's almost like pure comedy at this point, which is great. So I'm excited. Very excited to see what they have up their sleeves with this one. I think it's going to be a really entertaining, visually dazzling. The Guardians of the Galaxy are in this for at least some stretch of time, which is fun too. Nice to see them back. It's been a long time since we've seen them on cinemas because James Gunn got fired and unfired, and that put things back a while. But cool, man.
Kurt Russell as Zeus.
Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe is Zeus.
Is that what I meant? Did I mean Russell Crowe?
I don't know. Kurt Russell was he was already Ego, so we can't have him.
Oh yeah, we can't use him as Zeus. That's right.
But it's Russell Crowe is fucking Zeus and Olympus, and we see Olympus here.
That's excellent.
Russell Crowe's definitely going to get murdered by Gore the God Butcher. No doubt in my mind.
Can't kill Zeus. Impossible. You can't kill the Olympian god of thunder.
Tell that to Kratos.
It's true. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm very excited. So July 8th.
And I totally like how, so a lot of people don't know this. Our weddings are being paid for this year from Marvel check, from our,
yes, that's right.
Our inspiration from Thor 4 Valhalla in the 80s style, that we gave them the influence for the style. So they wrote us a check. The 80s style poster, that you get with Thor with Mjolnir up in the air, and then all the text and everything in this trailer is all inspired by us. We're uncredited, of course. You can't look us up, but
yes, of course.
But yeah, just a little fun fact. You heard it here first. Marvel Studios reached out to Watch Review Pete's Colton and Andrew for a little inspiration on what direction they should take this movie in. Yeah, had an interview with, or not interview, but had a good conversation with Taika Waititi. And all those involved.
Very funny man.
Team at Marvel.
It was very funny. Very charming.
Real good experience. So, heard it here first.
Yeah, it's true. Well, that's definitely true. Totally legit, bro. All right. Is it time?
It's time.
All right. The Northman. Playing in theaters only. Written by Schoen and Robert Eggers, directed by Robert Eggers, starring Alexander Skarsgård, Nicole Kidman, Claes Bang, Anya Taylor-Joy, Ethan Hawke, Bjork, and Willem Dafoe. God damn it, man, Willem Dafoe. He's so good. He's just so good. In The Northman, a Viking prince sets out on a quest to avenge the murder of his father. Want to do a box office breakdown for The Northman?
Wah, 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 wah. Box office. Oh, yeah, you do that part.
Box office breakdown.
Oh, that was really good.
Am I going to feel that for the rest of the night? It's entirely possible.
That's really good.
So,
what did it do? Excellent. It's had to do excellent, right?
I mean,
excellent ROI on that $100 million.
So here's the headline from Variety: The Northman box office proves the danger of bloated budgets on slick art house films. And here's just some of the text from an article by Rebecca Rubin. Focus Features, Universal's indie label, took a gamble, not only backing The Northman, but releasing the film in theaters nationwide. Driven by positive reviews, the movie generated $12 million from 3,865 North American theaters over the weekend, enough to secure the number 4 spot on the domestic box office charts. Not bad for an art house film, huh?
Right.
And
it's huge.
Yeah,
that's
pretty good. Except for the pesky fact that The Northman was 10 times as expensive to produce as your average indie. So apparently Robert Eggers has gone out and said that the movie cost $90 million.
Oof.
Sounds like the financial investors are like, it's closer to 70 million because we got some tax breaks and whatever.
Okay.
Either way, they spent a lot of money on this, and I think a lot. I mean, let's just be honest. This is kind of just an A24 film with a lot of money poured into it. A lot more money than a traditional A24 kind of film will have. So it is a really interesting thing where I don't really think it's doing that bad in terms of what the film is. I think that's a pretty solid number for what the film is, but they absolutely spent way too much money on something like this.
Where did it go?
I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad about it. You know what I mean? In terms of a pure business, in terms of a return on investment, if you want to talk about that, I think most people had to realize this is not a kind of film that is going to get Spider-Man type numbers or even Sonic type numbers. You know what I mean? I think it's a film of probably somewhat limited appeal overall, because it's an art house movie basically.
It's less art housey than other Egger films. I think.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, you're talking
It's
about the
definitely The
witch, and you're
Lighthouse.
talking about the lighthouse. So that's pretty much all you have to compare it to. And so, yes, I would say it's absolutely the most mainstream of those three. But it's
I guess
still
that doesn't say a lot, does it?
it's still definitively his style, though. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And
for
sure.
sure.
It's not like he's now retreated into making a Fast and Furious movie because he has more money or anything like that. You know, and like you absolutely see. I mean, Cary Fukunaga making True Detective and Maniac, jumping to James Bond, like there's a jump in sensibilities. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
like, No Time to Die was awesome and it was fun and whatever, but like it was more of a James Bond film than it was a Cary Fukunaga film. This to me is still definitively a Robert Eggers film about fucking Vikings, man. And so I guess, yeah,
It does feel expensive.
maybe
in
it's a
certain
boneheaded
respects.
decision to spend so much money on it. But again, I'm not mad about it because the money shows. They put together an all-star cast. It looks great. It sounds great. You know what I mean? Like it's money well spent in terms of like putting it into the product. If
Just
you look
seems
at it, if you're looking
expensive,
at film, what's that?
It just seems expensive. Like when you talk about $100 million, I ask, like,
It's not
where
bad.
did it?
It's not a bad amount of money.
Where did it go?
I would reckon cast is a good chunk of it.
Think so?
Yeah,
I mean, I guess you got Anna Taylor-Joy, who's pretty
she's big.
expensive now.
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman's huge.
Ethan Hawke, not that he was on set for a very long time, I'm sure, but still probably commands a decent salary. Willem Dafoe, like it's a star-studded cast. Even
Yeah,
Alexander
it's true.
Skarsgård is probably getting a decent amount. I think probably less than some of his supporting cast members, but I don't think he's as big of a name. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he's certainly a very recognizable name, and he's someone that's led films himself before. So can't forget about The Legend of Tarzan. Didn't we all see that? Never actually did, to be fair. I think I own it on Blu-ray though. One day I'll watch it. But yeah, I think that's where a lot of it goes. I think a lot of it goes into the set, and I think it's. I don't know.
They
that
definitely shot on location for.
I don't know that it's like a terribly visual effects heavy movie. Not in the traditional dragons flying around type of thing. But certainly it's got a lot of effects heavy shots, whether they're practical or not. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I could see how it adds up quickly. Between the cast, the shooting on location, shooting with the
cast is.
effects
I didn't think about the cast, but you're right. It is star studded. I mean, the cast.
So
the cast has
I
got
think
to be a good chunk.
I think it all adds up. You know what I mean? I think you could make this exact same film for $30 million with most of this cast. Like you can afford Ethan Hawke to come in, and he's your big name. Or you know what I mean, or Willem Dafoe's, in it, and he's a big name. Some of the others, I think he'd struggle to pull them in. Like I don't know if you get a Nicole Kidman on board if you're not spending as much money on something like this. So, look, this is going to lose money. I don't think there's any way around it. It's going to lose money, but like I think you have to look at it.
It'll forever be well regarded.
I think you have to look at it from like the standpoint of if you're the company that makes this movie, like. Yes, you are a corporation. You are designed to make profits. That's obviously what you are trying to do. However, if you are a filmmaker and you're an actor, your goal is to make art, right? You know what I mean?
Making good shit.
So if someone's willing to support you with almost $100 million to realize your vision, like...
And kudos to Robert Eggers, right?
I think that you have, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's okay. It's just like, all right, yeah. Not as many
Dude's
people
gotta be
saw
a salesman.
this as the company maybe wanted to, but like, right? It's like it's their fucking problem for giving you the money in the first place. Like,
bingo.
You take advantage of every dollar that you have and you pour it into it as this labor of love. And like, okay,
he made an incredible movie.
I'm making my A24 film for $100 million. This is fucking cool.
And you know who you blame if you're Robert Eggers? You know who you blame for $12 million opening weekend? You blame your marketing team.
Blame marketing.
I don't know who the fuck you hired for marketing, but they're clearly the problem. Have you watched my movie? Yeah, your movie's pretty great. Okay, well then your marketing team's fucked. I didn't.
To be honest,
wrong.
Marketing. This is very
marketing
funny.
did a pretty good job. I got pretty hyped.
Well, yeah, but they apparently put billboards up in like New York and shit, and they forgot to put the title on the billboards. So it's not very helpful.
Marketing's fucked. Right.
So that probably didn't help overall. Spend a bunch of money on this and then peel them off the next day and put them back with the title. Yeah, I mean,
that's an oversight.
not every movie is successful. You know what I mean? And
Financially. Right.
Financially, correct. And, at some point you have to wonder, like, is that okay? You know what I mean? Like, look.
Blade Runner wasn't financially successful. That was a bomb.
And, like, no one's making the Northman sequel. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't a franchise film. This isn't a Marvel film that's bombed. This isn't a DC film that's bombed. You know what I mean? It's not anything like that. Like, it's okay that, honestly, I'm not surprised in any way. I just do think this film has limited appeal, and we'll get into that, obviously, very shortly. But, like, I don't know that there's a way to make this film make 4 times this. I don't know. How do you make this film make $50 million? I think to do that, you're talking about breaching the artistic integrity of the movie to make it more mainstream is kind of how I feel about it. But maybe you disagree. I don't know. I think it's got some mainstream feelings to part of it, but I think overall, it to me, it still felt very art house.
Right. It's art housey. It's still an Eggers movie, right?
I mean, it's not.
It's shot like an Eggers movie.
Yeah. Well, we can just jump into non-spoilers at this point if you want to
jump into non-spoilers.
Some thoughts.
Here's my exercise that I wanted to do for this movie.
All right,
non-spoiler exercise. We've never done this before. Okay. Adjectives, single word adjectives to design. We're going to trade adjectives describing this movie.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
All right.
So I'll start.
Okay. Let's see if you take mine.
Angry.
Angry is a good one. Relentless.
Visceral.
Brutal.
That's a good one. Metal.
Metal is a good one. Fuck. Art house.
Art house is a good one. Yeah. Yeah. That's I thought about it. I think like last night or whatever. And I had this long list of adjectives that I was going to dump out, but
yeah, you lost them all.
Lost them all. Yeah. Since then. So I was hyped at this movie. I was very excited to watch it. So I saw it at an 7:45. No, it was a 7:45. It was a 7:45 Dolby showing. And I'm not a night owl by any stretch, so I was a little disappointed that I had to catch it so late. But I am 100% excited, like 100% satisfied in the Dolby experience. It was loud, and it was, and it's a really dark film. So I think if you go see it on a subpart projector, you're really, really going to be let down because there's no dynamic contrast in those projectors, right? So the Dolby projectors or whatever they're using, I don't know what they're using, what Dolby certified projectors are, but it's like watching an OLED on a projector, right?
Right,
so,
basically.
Without that dynamic contrast, like for example, I saw the trailer for this movie in a normal theater, and you couldn't see the spear being thrown from the wall in the scene that he, catches the spear and throws it back. But in the Dolby theater, you could. So little things like that go a long way, especially when a lot of the stuff happens in this movie at night. So seeing it in the proper theater is huge. It's paramount to your experience. Seeing it as loud as you can is also a really good experience. It gets you pumped up
from the beginning.
From
it lets
the beginning,
you know right up front,
man,
what you're in for.
I can't think of a movie that I've watched in a long. Man, specifically at like leaving the movie theater, I felt like a Viking. I did. I like during certain sequences, and we'll talk about them in spoilers. Like I had difficulty from like I just wanted to I was pumped.
Primal. That's another adjective.
Yes, primal. That's a very
primal
good one.
rage.
That's right. It did a really good job of the actors. Like they so I read an article that said Edgar's treated Skarsgård like a robot, and it wasn't until a certain sequence when they're doing like a shamanic dance, like they're doing like a ritualistic like before war dance kind of thing, before Skarsgård really honed in on what Eggers was trying to get him to do. And once he connected with the character in that way, in that primal way that the dance kind of like makes these characters, ready to fight, he was detached from the character. He wanted backstory for the character. He wanted this for the character. And Eggers just like said, no, we're not going to get into it. We're not going to get into it. We're not going to do it. Blah, 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 blah. It's not the way this movie's going to work. And then eventually when he did that dance, and it was like a ritual for the actor. And then he from all the shooting from there on in was no problem, right? Because he knew what he had to do, which is really cool from like a filmmaking perspective. But the everything down, like the score is just so, it's loud and it gets you pumped. I told Sarah, like, I'm gonna put next time I go to the gym, I'm gonna lift to the Northman. Like, it's just I told everybody today at work, I told everybody that the score is as metal as an orchestra could be, right? Like,
it's metal without literally being metal. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yes.
But it's so visceral and intense and like bone rattling, man. Like, especially in Dolby, when you have the benefit of those fucking Dolby speakers.
Yeah.
I go back to it from the beginning of the movie. It throws you, like, you get like this like little narration type thing, not even narration, just like setting the stage. But then once the score itself kicks in, like, buckle up, baby, because you're in for a ride for 2
It doesn't let up.
It does
the entire movie.
Relentless, as I said.
That's right. It's relentless. There's not a lot of movies like it, really. I can't I would
agree with that. Yeah.
I was gonna text you, like, it's like an art house 300, but even that doesn't feel right. Right. I think Robert Eggers could make a 300 film. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, like there's some crossover of like warrior and like almost like tribal nature to how they approach war and combat and stuff like that. But it's
just
that's about where the
different.
similarities end, I guess.
Yeah. Anyways, it's shot beautifully. The use of Norse mythology throughout the movie was really tastefully done. I thought it was really good. It made it very intriguing.
Yeah.
And it made it, it makes it, when you see religions portrayed in that way, it makes it on top of the set pieces of the film, right? With the characters that you have, given the environment that they're in, it makes it easy to see how characters act the way they act with the religions that they're given, right? Like, it makes it easy. Like, it makes it, I could see why somebody would act that way given the backdrop of their, the world that they're living in at the time, right? So it's, I see why people act like wolves, it makes it, I don't know. It's a really interesting look on the life of a Viking living, at the time period that they're living in. And it also makes the Vikings look like I went and saw this movie with my buddy Steven. I said, Steven, I don't think I'd make it to like 10 years old, dude. This is just like a brutal,
absolutely not cut up for that shit.
Brutal way of living. Jesus Christ, this is terrible.
Well, it's so funny because I had shown Anna, because you sent me texts. You sent Enrique and I texts after you watched it, because you watched it on a Monday night. I watched it on a Tuesday night, and you kind of gave the same kind of thoughts that you're giving now. It's angry as fuck, it's metal as fuck, whatever, And then you said something about, like, I feel like a Viking. I feel like a goddamn Viking, except I'm a bitch in comparison. Which is very funny. But Anna was just like, "Do you feel like a Viking after watching that?" I'm like, "No, I would get torn to shreds. No, thank you. I'm good. I'm perfectly happy with watching things in theaters and
Me and mine.
video games and
yeah.
just going
Air
to work Monday
conditioning.
to Friday, air conditioning. Like, yeah, I'm like, fuck that. No, I don't want any of this. It's absolutely angry and it's absolutely metal. But no, thank you. I'm good. I'm
Like
very good.
I got at I'll put to personify this movie. The credits rolled. They started rolling, and I turned over to Steven. I said, "Steven, you gonna go fight in the parking lot, dude?" And he started laughing. It's just it's
So did you engage in Mortal Kombat? in the parking lot?
no, we didn't.
Oh, okay.
We decided that's probably not the best of things to do. But like I said, there's not a lot of. I can't think of any movies like it, honestly. That just had me pumped up to the point where, like, if I was the only one in the movie and I did have a few drinks in me, I may have been shouting at the movie. I may have been shouting at the screen during certain sequences. I honestly could do that. The score is just who wrote the score to this film?
It's two people, Robin Carolyn and Sebastian Gainsborough.
And
not
who are these
familiar
people? Do we know?
Let's see.
Because it's especially noteworthy. I mean, it's hardcore.
I don't know. Robin Carolyn doesn't even have a fucking Wikipedia page, and Sebastian Gainsborough is also known as Vessel. He's a music producer and composer from England. Like,
Okay.
I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if they have any. I think this is like the first like fucking score they've ever done.
Well, good for them. They
and it's
have
crazy.
quite
Like,
the career.
I mean, like, what the fuck, It's really good. I mean, just it pervades the whole movie in the best way possible, where like it sets the tempo, the mood for everything, and it just perfectly accentuates every moment of brutality and just rage. I mean, it's such a cool story. very
Like, I mean,
impactful.
it's such a simple story. Like you think it's like a Lion King story, kind of.
I mean,
it's simple.
yeah. I mean, even the plot synopsis. I said a Viking prince sets out on a quest to avenge the murder of his father. Like, that's really the movie in a nutshell. But it's obviously a lot more layered and complex than that. You know what I mean?
And,
like, it's
yeah.
more than that in terms of the specifics of it. But it's at the end of the day, it's a revenge story through the lens of Vikings and in 895 AD or 980, whenever the hell it actually takes place for the most of it. So
because I don't know if it's spoilery. I'm going to say it, and then you could tell me it's spoilery, and then you could strike it from the record.
all right. I'm a judge in the matter. I'm waiting. You may proceed.
So because he sets out as a prince trying to avenge his father,
right,
and take back what is his, which is the kingdom, but at a certain, like, the guy lost the kingdom, so he's not fighting for a kingdom anymore. He's just
right.
fighting.
The motive kind of morphs from
right.
Reclaiming the title to I'm going to kill you because you killed my dad. Yeah,
Boom. And that's it. So it actually simplifies itself because he has no desire to lead anybody. He just wants to kill the guy that killed
at a
his
certain
dad.
point, it's no longer even a question mark that, like, I'm going to become king, blah, blah, blah. It's just simply pure revenge for what you for how you wronged me. Yeah.
And
yeah,
the character,
that's somewhat spoilery, but I'll allow it. Overruled. The objection's overruled. It may come into evidence here. So, yeah, I mean,
it's a very simple revenge story and the consequences of your actions, right? Like what?
Yeah.
And so it's it's a real basic story through and through. And
it's told in the most interesting way possible.
Yeah. Like, it's not the destination, it's its journey. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And the journey to the destination is really fucking cool. And like the use of quote unquote witchcraft And like the things that are done in this movie is really cool. Whole movie's just oozing with coolness. I will say that it's probably not for everybody. It's very visceral. It's very violent. It's very angry. It's art housey. I think it's art housey in the way it's shot and like the way things linger. You know, it's
the pacing
it's just
is definitely
exactly. But I guess maybe it's not. Maybe I'm just so drawn to it that I'm kind of blindsided, like having a hard time saying it's not approachable. Aside from the violence and stuff, though, like I feel like it's got a really cool story. You know, I think it's incredibly well acted. You have to give it to Skarsgård for like the training that he put in to get the physique that he had in this movie. Is just
the way
nuts.
he fucking carries himself.
Dude
man.
walked around like a fucking bear, like all movie.
Yeah.
He's just fucking like. There's one sequence where one guy tries to punch him, and he just doesn't move. do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The guy says, "Oh, I don't like the way you're looking at him." He just punches him, and he just kind of stands there. He's like, "Oh, yeah, don't look at me that way," or whatever. It's hilarious. Skarsgård is an absolute unit in this movie. He's huge. And it's, I don't know. It's a really, really cool thing. I think that 12 million is a travesty for this film. I think more people need to go see this film. This is a movie that I actually go to work and I tell everybody to go to watch. Like, it's really cool. Like if you're okay with you know really violent shit, then go watch it because I think it's really good. But that's all I got for non-spoilers.
All right. I think to probably respond to kind of the last point you made, is it a travesty that I think that this movie is going to lose money? I think yes, it is. However, I again think that like I'm not surprised by its box office. Again, I think it's a success for what the film is. It's a failure because of how much they spent on it. And obviously the film exists because they spent that much money on it. So it kind of, it feeds into each other in that certain sort of way. I think the thing that makes this probably more broadly appealing is that it has this really talented but recognizable cast of characters who are all taking it, to 110% in terms of effort level. Maybe Skarsgård's taken to 120% in terms of like the physicality and
training,
everything and getting into it. But I think that makes it a little bit more broadly appealing. But I think this movie, I do think that, I think I said something along these lines. Like if you make this with a bunch of no-name actors and keep Ethan Hawke or whatever, you know what I mean? Like you make it for a third of the budget. I think it's probably still mostly just as effective. Because it still has, I think, the Robert Eggers sensibilities, the art house sensibilities, and it's kind of true to its form. And suddenly it's making $12 million, and that's a big success story for it because it's a weird art. It's like Everything Everywhere All at Once. Like it's not lighting the box office on fire, but like you look at what it was made for and like what it is, and like it's a great
incredible
success story. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, you really have these two kind of shifting like expectations for kind of, obviously based on what you put into the thing. And so it kind of sucks because I think overall it takes away from what this movie is to kind of look at it as a box office failure or a box office bomb or anything like that. I really think that I just don't think there's a version of this film that's going to be that much more appealing. So, like without, again, taking away from what makes it
making
so
sacrifices to the actual movie, right?
You can cut 30 minutes out of it. Sure, you could do that.
You're losing a lot of shit, though.
You could cut away anytime animals are getting killed or anytime people are getting maimed in violent, gory ways. You could do that. You can absolutely do all of these things.
But I won't feel the way I felt when I left.
It takes away, I think, from the vision of the film to try to do that, to try to restrain it, to try to make it more approachable. And that's what I liked about this film. And honestly, I walked when I walked out of the theater, even when it said directed by Robert Eggers, I was kind of just like stunned. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know what to think. I didn't know how to react. I didn't really know like what to say, and I was like, oh man, I bet Anna hated this. She didn't, for the record. It was good, you know.
I didn't think she'd like it.
I didn't think she would either, and like, you know, there were a few points where she was like, you know, she's not loving the violence. We'll put it that way. But you know, I just, you know, I think it was fairly graphic, as I think you could probably agree with that.
Oh
assessment.
yeah, definitely graphic.
So, you know, that can be like, you know, if you can't stomach that sort of thing, then that's not going to be terribly fun. But I was absolutely just stunned, and I think now that I've had a night to sleep on it and some time to think about it, I like it more. I honestly do. Like, I walked away from it thinking, wow, like that was like an experience. Like, it was like,
yeah, right.
It was. I mean, it does remind me of Everything Everywhere All at Once, and that watching it one time, like, was just like it. I felt like I was getting beaten down a few times. You know what I mean? Just like throughout the process of it.
It's a lot. It's a lot for the senses,
just
man.
taking some. Yeah, it's like sensory overload at a certain point.
Yeah.
And so I think it actually worked better for this film. I think because it's a simpler film. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is like a very plot heavy film with a lot of shit going on, and you know, it's just chaos all the time. This one's not chaos all the time. It's simple, but it's just brutality is. I mean, it is relentless. That's kind of one of the few things I described it as. Even walking out of the theater with Anna, was like, it was relentless because it's not a feel good film. It's an oppressive film, but that's what it strives to be, and it succeeds.
That's a good word. Yeah.
So that's okay.
Very good.
It's okay that it's those things. But I think that it's also fair to say, like, most people aren't going to love that sort of thing, or most people aren't going to be into that sort of thing. And I think that even though, like, you know, you've got like some really great like action stuff and like violence and stuff, and like people will probably enjoy that sort of stuff out of a fucking Viking film, I do think that all in all, it's still more about its story and the heart of it and the characters of it. And that's to
why
me
it's so
leans
good.
more into art house sensibilities, and that's why I liked it, and it sounds like why you liked it too, to a certain extent. But I do think that that's not going to be terribly mainstream in terms of kind of its overall appeal. However, you know, putting aside everyone else's expectations of the film, talking about my personal experiences of the film, it's a film that's going to sit with me for a long time, and I think that that's awesome. I mean, I'm blown away by the production values. I'm blown away by the performances. I'm blown away by the score. I'm blown away by the directing, the cinematography. Like, I'm just blown away by pretty much every aspect of this film.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, quite honestly, I'm just blown away by it. And I don't think I recognized it quite even, like, again, when I saw it directed by Robert Eggers. I don't think the impact of all that had really seeped in at that point.
Yeah.
You know, it was just kind of just like, oh shit. It even, honestly, throughout the film, there are some things that happen where it's just like it made me uncomfortable, and it made me like, oh God, what the fuck is happening? And I like chuckled a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, I chuckled to myself a little bit, and it's not a laughing moment. Nothing's funny about it, but there was just kind of just like a, oh shit.
There's a handful of times that I laughed. It's like, oh my God.
Exactly. It was that. I was like, oh,
and there was a guy like 4 seats down from me on the right, and we had the same sensibilities. Every time we were both laughing at the same spots, and it's like, oh God, if I sound like an asshole.
Right. It's like, it's not, yeah, no one else is laughing in my theater, and it's like, I'm not like laughing out loud, but I'm just like, you know, and I'm just like, wow. Because they went for it. You know, and that's ultimately where I will, you know, heap praise on it, is that they went for it, and I think that they really succeeded in capturing this lifestyle, this pure, simple revenge story. They captured that really well, but they made it work with characters who are complex and challenging and annoying, and you know, and like it makes you, it pulls you in different directions with like where the story goes and who you want to root for and who you feel sympathetic towards. Like, I think it did a really good job of taking something that is a very, again, pure, simple revenge story and giving it so many layers that
making it nuanced, right?
And yeah, so much nuance to all of it that it feels really like rich and rewarding coming out of it.
It feels like a real lot. It feels like a truly lived in place. The story feels real.
Yeah, it does. It does. It feels like authentic. Like it's one of those. Actually, this is. I don't know. We'll see if you agree. There are times in this film where you're just like, oh, I'm not supposed to be watching this. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of where it felt like, where it's just like they captured something that felt so visceral and brutal and like crazy to like modern sensibilities that it felt like this wasn't meant to be filmed. This is something so out there. And then like it reminds me of something like Suspiria, Midsummer, like, you know, like horror films, like sensibilities of horror films were just like, wow, this is what the fuck, you know?
I've listened to a couple podcasts from Hardcore History, and he takes like a deep dive on like a lot of like academic level like historical events and the way they were recorded from like, you know, ancient texts and stuff. And ancient times are not a pleasant place to be in warfare.
No,
they're really fucking shitty places. People are fucking animals, and you know.
And this film does a really fantastic job.
It doesn't shy away. It doesn't shy away from any of it.
The animality, just
that doesn't make it fun.
No, and this is not a fun film.
No, it doesn't. It's not like Thor: Love and Thunder. That's going to be a very, very different take on Norse mythology, as the other Thor films have been. But this feels real.
It feels like a really authentic, grounded kind of representation of a Viking lifestyle, while also being respectful to like Norse mythology and integrating that into these characters, and also depicting that, like, you know, kind of in interesting visual ways as part of the storytelling. Like it's just
yeah.
Like, because from the outset, I'm just like, are we going like full Norse mythology and Thor's going to show up and Odin's going to show up and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, how are they going to do this? And I think the way that they did it was really, really interesting, as I think overall more of a way of capturing how it informs these characters. More than it being like, look at this crazy, you know, more than it being literally Thor and Odin and everyone showing up. In the Marvel movies.
It's how these people.
It's like how the gods play a role in their life, like in their lifestyles and stuff like
and
that.
And how they perceive
why they do what they do, because they're trying to get to the gates of Valhalla, you know, or whatever, you know, like.
Yeah. And it's but see, I mean, like as a modern person watching these films, you can see this film, you can see that, you know, okay, well, that person wasn't seeing a ghost, right? That person isn't seeing you can, without getting into spoilers.
Yeah, it's
a very grounded
not everything
approach
is exactly literal as you see it on screen.
That's right. It's grounded. It's a grounded thing.
Right.
Right. It's a grounded. These ancient humans are perceiving these things because of X, Y, and Z, and they are interpreting it as the gods influencing their lives.
Right.
And it's a really cool thing because it doesn't take leaps and bounds to see this happening in reality. And that's cool. And we'll get into it in spoilers because I have a couple little tidbits, but I don't have a whole lot. But
yeah, well, I mean, it's an experience. This mostly really just, I guess, feeds in a recommendation at this point, but I remain blown away just thinking about it and, you know, and musing about it and I don't.
That's the cool thing about the podcast, man. You start talking about it.
You feel it a little bit more, you know?
You know?
It's funny, though, because I walked out of it yesterday, and I thought, and I think I said as much, Dan, I was just like, I don't know that I'll ever need to watch that movie again. You know what I mean? And as we kind of talked about earlier, like, it's not a mark of something being bad is that you don't want to watch it again. Like you talked about Chernobyl specifically. Like, I'll probably watch Chernobyl again, but goddamn,
Eventually.
is that a dark and depressing fucking thing? But that doesn't.
Yeah, it's heavy.
That doesn't still. I mean, there's a reason that it.
It's like having an incredible dessert. Like, I don't want to eat that dessert every night.
Right. Yeah.
But maybe I'll go to that restaurant 3 years from now and enjoy that incredible, decadent, heavy dessert, you know?
Yeah. And so this is something for me that, like, I mean, even yesterday, I'm like, I don't think I could ever do it again, you know? And today I'm like, well, I don't think I'll see it in theaters again. But fuck it, man. Maybe I'll buy the 4K of it, you know, when it comes out. And, like, honestly, I'll probably own it on 4K and then have it for months before the shrink wrap comes off. But then, you know, once every few years, maybe the mood strikes where it's just like,
You come home angry from work.
I just want to watch this movie, you know, and like I'm just gonna live in this world for a couple hours, and you know what? And fuck it, I'm gonna do it, you know. So
A new God of War comes out.
yeah, when I start getting into Norse shit, basically that's probably what'll happen. Fucking what is it? I never played the first Hellblade, but when that second one comes out, I feel like that looks, you know, that's got some similar vibes for sure. So anyway, yeah. I may say as much in spoilers anyway as we talk about it, just based on where the story goes. But if I don't, I want to say it right now. Obviously, Skarsgård's amazing, and of the recognizable actors, I mean, Nicole Kidman's very good. There's a very funny tweet that Anna retweeted of people talking about like Nicole Kidman's monologue in this film is like better than her entire performance in Being the Ricardos or whatever, which whatever, man. I mean, she was good in that too. But then someone tweeted that and basically said like, that's just the thing that they play in front of every AMC film. Like, you know, I forget the exact line, but it was very funny. And Andrew's at least laughing. So at least hopefully he's finding the humor in that. Somehow heartbreak feels good or whatever.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
She was
pretty
good.
Great.
Anya Taylor-Joy was good. Ethan Hawke was good. Willem Dafoe was fucking incredible because he's Willem Dafoe, man.
Always.
The actor who I really wasn't familiar with going into this movie was Claes Bang, who played the uncle of Skarsgård. Fjolnir. I thought he was incredible.
Fjolnir was pretty incredible.
He was a really, really
a lot of growth to that.
Actor.
A lot of growth to that guy.
Yeah, great role. Really interesting role. One that takes on a lot of prominence, you know, as the story builds. But man, I thought he was fantastic. So anyway, I just wanted to shout him out. But we can get into the recommendation now if you're up for it.
This movie is, as far as I can remember, I think this is the best movie of the year for me so far.
All right. Better than Sonic 2?
Better than Sonic 2. The big question is it better than Batman?
And
I got Sarah piping up over here. Is it better than Spider-Man? But we consider Spider-Man as a
Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man would have been a
release.
late 2021 film. So
late 2021. We just happened to catch it late.
So we don't have to factor it in. Otherwise,
but we do have to factor in the Batman.
You got to factor in the Batman. You got to factor in Everything Everywhere All at Once. So.
And
got a few bangers right off the bat.
We do have a few bangers off the bat. This is becoming a serious year. I mean, we got Top Gun right around the fucking corner.
Top Gun's coming out. Doctor Strange is coming out.
It's going to be a good year for movies. I'm really excited.
Thor's coming out.
Thor. All sorts of movies coming out this year. And it's going to be an excellent year for movies. But so far, Batman's cool because it's Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's cool for a lot of different reasons. And this is an end of the year episode, so I'm not going to get into comparing the films. But I think
we've still got many months to go.
We still have many months to go. But for my money, as far as a purely original story and telling of the story and telling of like just pulling historical references grounded in like people that actually like people that existed and everything else. Like this feels like a real thing. And it is, I used the words in the text message I sent you.
Go for it.
Enrique.
Go on.
This is a tour de force. And when I say force, I mean force by like all caps, force. It is a tour de force film. The score is just, like you said, relentless. It's bone shattering. It's a truly intense score, that really, I mean, the only score that I think would be close to it is probably like Fury Road. Like it feels like a Fury Road kind of score.
Yeah, and
that was but that was like literal metal score, you know, where
Yeah.
this is like orchestral metal score. But it's just as intense. Like the music in this movie would be less of a movie without the score that's behind it. And then on top of that, everything captured on screen is captured with such grace and like with such just like, keep saying nuance, but everything's nuanced in this movie. Just it's shot so well and so artsy. Like you can take every frame of this film and put it on your wall without, I mean, I don't know if you'd want like, you know, some guy's entrails being on your wall, but you could frame it if you wanted to and put it on your wall because it's shot really good.
Mm-hmm.
And the use of like an ancient religion, you know, Norse mythology and everything, and the way it integrates with the people that worship the gods that they did. It's you can tell that a lot of love and care went into like the historical accuracy of this film. And it's every ounce of work and effort and research and the performances that you get, everything, all the work and energy that was put into this film is put into screen tenfold. Like it's sensory overload. Everybody that's working on it is 110% in it, and it shows. It shows so much. It's not going to be for everybody. It's a very visceral story. It's hardcore. Like it's, I mean, it is what it sets out to be. And I think because it is what it sets out to be, I think it sticks the landing super hard. And I think this is definitely a must watch. I think even if you don't appreciate the sensibilities that they take, I think that you can appreciate that the hard work that went into this movie is on screen. And I think that if you're a film person, I think you can appreciate that this is a very well done movie. Like it's well executed. They took every cent that they were given and they just, like like you said, if it's the cast that got the majority of the money, I don't know, but it like it was funny. We talked about it. It feels like someone gave Robert Eggers $100 million to make a Viking epic movie, and it shows. It's cool. It's so good. Definitely a must watch.
Yeah. Had we recorded 5 minutes after I exited the theater, I don't know that I would have been able to articulate where I would recommend it. But I can safely say right now it's a very yes film. Tour de force. I sometimes echo your sentiments when you bust out that phrase, but this is definitely an instance where I do agree. I mean, it's every bit what it should be and could have been. I mean, it's awesome. It really is awesome, and I think that it's not going to be for everyone, and I wouldn't recommend it to everyone. And like, I am still honestly shocked that Anna seemingly liked it as much as she did. You know, she's in the same boat. She's like, I'm never going to watch that again. I'm like, fair, totally fair. But I don't know that that's going to have the same sort of crossover appeal to anyone that, you know, I mean, I guess watch the trailer is kind of how I feel about it. Like if the trailer does anything for you, then like the movie's going to be a 2+ hour version of that with more brutality and stuff, and and a little bit more. Honestly, there was more depth and nuance to the characters than I expected from the trailer. I thought it was going to be pure visceral rage the entire way through. It is to a certain extent, but it's more than that. And I think that it was the more than that stuff that made me like the film, especially after having, sat on it for a little while. That's the stuff that to me that like feels like, oh, this is a really thoughtful film. It's a really well written and performed film, and that's the stuff that really, really works for me. So yeah, I guess it's a very S for me.
Watch it as big and as loud as you possibly
definitely
can.
If you can, check it out in Dolby. I think, obviously it's not doing very well in terms of, compared to its budget or whatever. But I think obviously certainly by the time Doctor Strange comes out, this isn't going to be in Dolby anymore. And I don't think there's any huge major releases coming out the weekend of the 29th, which is its second weekend of release. So hopefully it's still sticking around in Dolby by then, and people get a chance to check it out then, because it's definitely worthwhile to do so, because it's an audio visual masterpiece, and it's something that you got to experience it in a pristine environment. Just say that if you watch this on your fucking phone or whatever,
phone? On your Quibi.
God damn! I mean, what did Denny say?
It's like having a speedboat in a bathtub.
Yeah. It's like that. Probably honestly even worse. Than Dune would have been on a phone.
Denny's so good. Denny. It's like having a speedboat in a bathtub, you fucking moron. Go watch it in the movie theater.
Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of how I feel about it. So yes, definitely do yourself a favor if you're going to watch this, and watch it in a pristine environment. And as was the case with Everything Everywhere all at once, I felt overwhelmed by that film a lot, and I'm just like, if I had a pause button available to me, I would have paused it about 20 times. I would have done the same thing here. I would have just been like, every 10 minutes in this fucking movie, or just been like, cool, I'm going to need a minute. But when you don't have that opportunity, it makes
it along for the ride.
It just hits you. You know what I mean? It seeps into your bones when you just have to take it. Now, obviously you can stand up and walk out of the theater, but there's no fun in doing that. So you just watch it. You
I didn't go to the bathroom during this movie.
No, I didn't either. Yeah, no. No, thank you. Taking it all in. But yeah, very S for me. You want to get into full spoilers?
Yeah, we can go into full spoilers.
Full spoilers for The Northman. Well, where do you want to go? You have some spoilery thoughts to talk about?
How about when the kid cuts off that guy's nose? That was fucking grody, dude.
That was an early version of things being pretty grody. Yeah.
And then the guy comes back and he's got no nose.
Yeah. Well, he cut his nose off.
He's still an asshole. Still
a gigantic asshole. I did enjoy.
And then,
go ahead.
We're just gonna finish the storyline of the guy with no nose.
Yes. No.
You want to talk about parts that you feel like you shouldn't see? It was the part where he had him pinned up against the wall and it fucking slowly stabbed him through the face. That was
fucking brutal.
Yeah. That was really brutal. I felt like I shouldn't have seen that.
It wasn't bloody and I guess in the way that other shit was in the movie, decapitations and fucking people's limbs and shit getting chopped through with hatchets or whatever. But it still just felt.
This is actually
brutal.
the least bloody death in the whole movie was this guy's death, and it was arguably the most squirmy. It made me squirm because
it was just like a slow blade through. I mean, he just you felt.
It's like he relished
felt it. Yeah.
Just man, brutal.
Absolutely brutal. Yeah.
Can we talk?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. What do you got?
I'm sorry. I'm pumped.
Please carry the spoiler conversation. I'm riding on your shoulders.
Okay, so we can talk about the shaman dance, about finding his berserk, finding his fury.
Yeah.
and like summoning the spirit of what is it, Fjolnir? I think that's the name of the wolf.
Fenrir.
In Norse, huh? What is it?
Fenrir, right? He's the giant
Fenrir,
wolf or whatever.
Yeah, the giant wolf. Yeah, it's like they embody the wolf.
Oh.
And yeah, like they like, hey, listen, we're about to take this fucking, like, we're about to raise this little village. We're about to take that shit over for like no reason other than just like to take it over. Like we have, like, there's no plot development as to why we're
kids as well.
Yeah.
Hope you're in for it.
Yeah, exactly. There's no reason why we should be doing what we're doing besides the fact that we're embodying those wolves and we're out for blood. And, you know, it's pretty shitty. But, you know, it's kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyways, so you watch this, like, guy get overcome with, like, he's just surrounded by people that are doing the same thing. And he gets like wrapped up in this ritual. And then the next sequence, you catch him and a bunch of people dressed in wolf skins.
Yeah, that's just like the approach, right?
Yeah, sneaking up to like the battlements of this like little village. Somebody spots him.
And then
He says, "Oh my God, there's fucking people out here. I'm gonna throw a spear at him." He fucking throws a spear at him. And the wolf, just stands up and catches that spear out of air and just fucking throws it back at him. It's like, I was pumped from seeing it in the trailer. I've never seen anything quite like that before, ever. I was pumped in the trailer. I was pumped as fuck in the movie, dude.
Yeah.
And then they all run. And like they climb they climb these like timber walls by throwing their hatchet into the wall and just climbing up it, just bruting up this fucking wooden timber tree wall. Like, it's fucking crazy, dude. And then they get up there and they're fighting people, and he jumps off and hits this guy on the horse, and it's just it's game on. It's game on. And at one point he like eats a guy's neck. Like, he's just like, fuck it,
I forgot about that. Yeah. just goes for it, man.
He's just so primal that he's cutting people apart, and he just eats a guy's neck. Like, there's just, and then you can see the character come out. It's the first point we see the character come out when he starts to realize that the things that he's doing is the same thing that Fjolnir did to his village.
Right. It seems a little familiar to
there's like a duality there, right? He's like, oh shit, I've become the person that I've sworn revenge to. And then at that point, he changes, right? And at that point, he says, I'm going to brand myself, and then I'm going to catch up to a boat by swimming in the water. I'm going to swim so fast I catch up to the fucking boat.
He's real good at swimming in this movie. He does a lot of it.
He hops up in the boat, and he's along for the ride with the rest of the slaves. Like, he puts himself in servitude
to carry out his quest for his thirst for revenge. You know,
because he forgot about his quest for revenge there for a little bit. You know, until he's reminded about it.
Just turned into an animal for a while there. You know, just a beast of a man for a while.
It's a really nuanced thing.
Well, the interesting thing is, because the way the movie starts is this whole prologue sequence where he's a kid, and he's a very naive and innocent child as he's depicted, and obviously we see things through his perspective where his dad's the best fucking dad in the world. His mom's the best mom in the world. His uncle's a real piece of shit, you know, Kingslayer, son of a bitch. You know, and you know, and he gets kind of exposed a little bit. There's the whole fucking sequence with when they're like
William Dafoe and like his dad.
Dafoe, yeah, that was one of the that was to me Suspiria-esque in some ways,
which is entirely drug induced.
Right,
it's entirely drug induced, and it's, well, I mean, it's just an interesting thing that, like, you know, ancient religions and stuff, they used psychedelics to enhance these experiences, and you know, and it apparently it fucking worked. It tricked people into being wolves. It tricked his son into thinking that he was seeing what is the tree of knowledge in Norse mythology? That's Shit, don't tell me. I know what it is. I think it starts with a T.
Tree.
No. Does it start with a Y?
There's Yggdrasil, which is
Yggdrasil.
That's the world tree, right?
The world tree, yes. And the world tree is his bloodline.
Okay.
Right? The blood, the tree of knowledge is the knowledge of the people that came before. Right? That's the way I took that. It's the knowledge of his father and his father before that and his mother and everybody else, right? It's like it's like a never-ending thing. And yeah, that was one of those like, okay, you spent some money to like to show what the Yggdrasil is, right? So, yeah, there was like that whole ritual with him becoming a man, and then instantly, okay, we're gonna be out of this drug-induced thing, and then we're gonna kill off
the fan. Like,
we're gonna kill off Pops
2 seconds later.
Chop his head off.
Everything
you
gets
have to
set in motion.
like you have to chop off this guy's nose and then run to a boat and like sail off to nowhere and like survive as a little kid.
I love it, you father.
And he does it. And when we see him as an adult, he's a fucking ripped ass dude.
Yeah, it's just interesting because like it jumps from this kid and like a true kid, and there are other children in this film, I'll say, and they're all psychopaths. Like the
the funniest one was the Chucky kid.
Yeah, yeah, he fucking just stab, dude. I was fucking psycho kid, man. And the way he also didn't cut off the horse's head too. I mean, he wasn't. He didn't shy away from it. It took him a few blows to do it. Don't get me wrong, but
They're always chopping off the fucking horses' heads, dude.
So many horses.
Did you see the horse's head at like Nicole Kidman and the kids?
Yeah, at the end,
thing?
right? Yeah.
Chop off the fucking horse's head. It's fucking horse.
There's a lot of animals dying in this. I'll say that. Dogs too. Dogs don't make it out.
No.
No.
Well, it's because what's his face commanded the dogs. See that?
Yeah.
It's like up there on the. I told Steven. There was one sequence where Alexander Skarsgård's like sneaking around the village, and the dog starts barking at him, and he kind of just
right.
and he like makes like he just like fucking growls at the dog, and the dog's like and he like runs away. I told Steven. I leaned over to Steven. I said, next time Theodore does that and starts barking, I'm gonna fucking do that to him.
Assert your Viking hood.
And the dog stops.
I am Fenrir.
Fucking cool. All right.
Yeah.
The retrieve the sword of vengeance quest line
that was cool.
Felt especially video gamey.
It was definitely video gamey, especially because because as soon as he gets to that fucking guy, it's like, oh, that thing's coming to life. But it's like, is this that kind of movie? Is kind of how I thought about it. Like, and
come to find out, it's not.
Right, it is and it isn't. Like it's kind of both, right? It's you still get it as a scene in the film, but it's kind of more. And it was a really cool way they did it, just like the slow kind of pan, right, to like seeing him like just taking the sword and the just skeleton collapses or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was very much a having your cake and eating it too kind of situation, but I was down for it because that was a fucking badass scene.
That was very cool. Yeah.
But it was Dark Souls or Elden Ring of shit, you might say.
Yes, that's exactly what I thought of. I'm not going to lie to you. That sounds like a super awesome quest line in the video game. The cool thing is could you imagine being like, you're just this dude, and you're trying to get this revenge on this guy, and you find this other guy that says like, listen, there's this badass sword you need to get. And it was forged by this and that. And it's buried in this mound. Well, come to find out, yeah, it is buried in the mound. That's where the guy was buried that used to have it. And he's, fucking dead, and he was buried with a sword. And he was buried in this giant mound, like it's like part of his boat. And you go in there and you're grave robbing some dude's sword. Right. That's cool. And that probably happened. Who's to say that didn't happen in history sometime? Some guy broke into some guy's grave to get his sword. Because it was fabled to be this and that. That's cool. That's some cool stuff.
Yeah.
The mushrooms, I thought the mushrooms was an excellent use of like, hey, this is witchcraft, you know,
Right.
and we're going to do this
Yeah.
and that. But come to find out, it's just psychedelic mushrooms, and we're going to make them trip balls
They were all tripping balls. That's for sure.
while you, like one guy was cutting his own throat, which like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you can trip that much balls. I don't know if there's that many balls to trip.
Maybe a weak mind.
But he was tripping them. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you choose to do psychedelic mushrooms, definitely don't have a sword in your hand because you might choose to
Could be
stab yourself to
precarious.
death, I guess.
Yeah.
But it worked, and the one thing that was like a little over. I mean, there's a lot that's over the top, but the one thing that was definitely over the top was like when he killed those people to some of the dog, Fjornir, I guess, and like he chopped them up into the shape of a dog.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And put
like
them
the
on
display.
put them on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty hardcore.
Let's see what else is there.
That was some Hannibal Lecter shit right there, basically.
It was. It did feel like
display
Hannibal.
of his victims.
Very, very, very Hannibal. Good pull. Can we talk about the naked Viking fight, in front of a volcano? Like, if you hated if you hated someone so much, we're gonna fight at the base of an erupting volcano naked. I'll meet you there.
Revenge of the Sith, but with Vikings, and they're naked. But it sounds kind of ridiculous, and it is, I suppose, in a way.
But in the movie, it makes total sense. I'll meet you at the gates of hell.
It's a lake of fire, man. Like it's fucking badass. It's like it's foretold and it's emotional for both of them at that point. I mean, at that point, I feel like Amleth is just like so hell-bent.
Consumed.
He's so consumed by, and even at that point, because it's perfectly.
He's got kids on the way.
He's literally got kids on the way. He was literally on a boat sailing far away from this land, basically, and he's like, oh, what if he comes hung? It's like, this motherfucker's a farmer now, dude. Like, he's not coming after your kids, but he can't turn off that part of his brain, right? Like, he's just so coded to revenge that he has to go back. He's driven to go back. He runs away
because it's disgrace on his family. Like, he can't leave that. His kids will be disgraced if he does not.
He swore an oath or whatever. It's a promise to his father, as before he died. So, right, and maybe that's just like a cultural thing of being like honor bound to like seeing things through, and so much. It's not about the practicality of just being like, yeah, he's a farmer. He's not going to come chase after us. I'm just being paranoid. You're right.
They don't have the internet. They don't know where we're going.
Right,
we're okay.
Right, yeah. You can't. Yeah, it's like. It's just not going to happen, obviously. But there's still that part of him that he's just like, I have to do this. You know what I mean? And so it builds to this fucking confrontation. And it's brutal, too, because to get to that point, he kills his mother. He kills his half-brother. And then it builds to the fucking Mustafar fight, you know what I mean, at the end. And it's awesome. It's just brutal combat. And it ends in like the only way that it could have ended, with both of them dying, I feel like. You know what I mean? I feel like it had to kind of build to that point. It felt like at a certain point he needed to realize his quest, but to me it didn't feel like he had earned like a happy ending at that point. I kind of feel like
there's no happy ending.
He was just kind of a beast of a man at that point, but he at least had to see his revenge through to the bitter end, and that's just kind of that's what he gets. That's the satisfaction he gets, and that's enough to
and he made it to the gates of Valhalla.
To ride to the gates of Valhalla. Exactly. So that was cool. That was a really cool ending. It was a very cool ending. Like, the approach
when they were fighting,
badass.
That was the time where I had to like repress my like I just felt like, I mean, every sword blow, because I mean they were very deliberate. It was a very methodical sword fight. Like, he had a shield, and the way that the sword fights and stuff were choreographed, it was super visceral, and it just, man, kudos to all the performers in Robert Eggers, because he made a real life Viking epic. Like, it's
the thing I liked about it, and maybe this is a grotesque thing to say that I like it about it, everyone felt like they were trying to kill each other.
Yeah.
It didn't feel staged or reserved in any way. It felt
the way Alexander Skarsgård dodged like That's the word I'm looking for. The way he dodged missiles, right? Like he dodges arrows. He just looks at them. Poof. He dodges spears. He looks at them, right? And it makes it feel like the way that he dodges them, it makes them feel like if they would have connected, that could have been it. Like, you know?
Yeah.
And then he seeks the person down that threw them or shot them, you know? And that poor man, you've made a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. No,
yeah. I think the only other like big like plot thing that we haven't really touched on is the twist, I think, so to speak, of the true nature of the relationship between his mother and
the uncle.
And the uncle, yeah, right, and Fjolnir. Did you see it coming? Did you have an inclination toward it maybe being the case? Or?
No, definitely not. I mean, he carried her out, and she's screaming, but she said she was laughing.
I that's one of those things I want to go back and watch, and I'm like, is it like... It could also just be a perspective thing, like, because again,
correct.
If you're watching
it's told
it from the kid's perspective, like,
just
of course,
screaming.
he's not going to perceive her as laughing in any way. You know what I mean? So,
right.
Yeah.
It also could be too, because she did kiss him and say, like, listen, if you take him, then you take me, right? Like if you kill him, then I am the next one, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could be that she is just like, she's what's the word for it? When you're preserving yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Self-preservation. Yeah. It could be self-preservation too.
Yeah.
Right? Like your uncle did this, you know, he's a good dude, blah, 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 blah. Everything's fine, you know, but if you do kill him, know that I'm here, you know, and I'm the next one. And that's when she kisses him. Right. So I don't know if it's like a self-preservation thing, because she said that she had been branded by the father. At the same time, it looked like the same brand that he had. Would they have two different brands, or would they have the same brand as slave for being branded as a slave?
I mean, I assume that it'd probably be the same. I mean, I think within the confines of the story, we can just assume that this is the brand that means you're a slave, right?
Right. Okay. So, I mean, I don't know. Is she any different than Anna Taylor-Joy? To be honest with you, the twist that I saw coming, especially being from Robert Eggers, would be that, yeah, because you hear that the father, his dad, Ethan Hawke, had to kill his uncle in order to be
right to be the king.
Exactly. So I thought it was going to be like a spin kind of thing, to where he is the. I thought it was going to come back around in some kind of weird way, to where he had to kill his uncle. And then now he's the king and blah, 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 blah. But that's obviously not what happened. So,
well, he did have to kill his uncle, but just not for that particular purpose.
That's right. So I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, just adding my thoughts on that. I kind of felt like something was up with Nicole Kidman's character, but I wasn't sure exactly what the nature of it was. And so I thought it was an interesting and satisfying way to kind of upend, I think, the revenge quest. I think it convolutes everyone a little bit. Like it makes Ethan Hawke, the king, feel more like a shitty dude, right? In retrospect, where it's just like
he's no different than everybody else.
Correct, right? Yeah, he just impregnated a slave and took her as his wife, basically. And then the uncle, like, I mean, he still killed his brother. Like that's usually not okay or acceptable. Maybe a little bit more acceptable for Viking times, perhaps, but still,
he's a
questionable.
bastard, though.
Right? Yeah, and then obviously, his rule is quickly, you know, he's a king for however long, and then he's a fucking farmer, right? You know, so it's a pretty big radical shift for what his character becomes. But I feel like, you know, he's kind of set up as the villain, obviously, from the outset. And I kind of felt like by the end, he was actually fairly sympathetic in his own right. I mean, he's not a perfect man, you know, but it felt like, I don't know, I felt bad for him at times. His son was, both of his sons were shits, you know what I mean? But I felt bad for him, because especially at a certain point, it was just basically like, He's got nothing left to lose. So by that final confrontation, I was just kind of just like, they both have to die. You know what I mean? It's just like, it just feels like that's just the way that it has to go.
It's the poetic justice. It's like the Shakespearean kind of deal.
Yeah, it did feel kind of. There are aspects of this, and I don't think it would work necessarily, but there are aspects of this that feel very play-like to me.
Sure.
In an interesting sort of way, and I think particularly
feels totally Shakespearean for sure.
Yeah, maybe that's just kind of the overtones of like Shakespearean tragedy and stuff like that. Is maybe what I'm thinking.
Here's
about
your titular character. Here he is, and then this is the journey of revenge, and this is where it gets you, and ultimately there's no, there's no reprise to it. Like it's fruitless.
Yeah.
So good story of revenge and what it gets you.
Gets you satisfaction, and I guess it gets you to the gates of Valhalla. That's not too bad.
That's it. I mean, he's absolutely a warrior. Like, I mean, if there was anybody I wanted in Valhalla, if I was going to Valhalla, it'd be him.
Along with Thor. Thor's going there. Thor's going there for and Thor for Valhalla.
Also, the guy. I mean, we have to talk about the shaman, right? The shaman that just like lives in a cave with the head of some dude that he collected eyeballs and a head and like put it all together. And kudos to that guy. He's put in a lot of work.
Yeah.
Could you imagine sitting in a goddamn cave waiting for somebody to come in? Like when that dude fucking comes in here, we're gonna have a fucking conversation. We're gonna talk about that sword buried in the mound. That guy. Yeah. What was he doing before he came in there? Was he eating dinner? What's he doing with the head? Like, what's he?
He's having a chat. He's having a chat. Two of them, no big deal.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. What are they doing? Know. What's that guy doing?
I don't know. When's the spinoff? The He Witch, the spinoff of the Northman.
It's fucking ridiculous. Fucking He Witch.
Yeah. How about that?
What are you doing, witch?
How about rugby where you beat people with sticks? And
holy shit, he killed the guy with fucking headbutts. Yeah. He killed the guy with headbutts.
Yeah. Wasn't that was the
fucking
mountain.
Intense.
That was the fucking mountain from Game of Thrones. He just headbutted them to death.
It's like, oh my goodness. And it's I mean, I didn't want the guy to die from headbutts, but goddamn, it makes you fucking just fucking kill that guy with headbutts.
I would give myself so many concussions. Also, I think I think my head would break first.
Poof. Intense as shit, dude.
Yeah.
He saved that kid though. That kid was knocked the fuck out from a push. That's how strong that guy was. He was about to murder that little boy.
Yeah.
He pushed him down, knocked the kid out. That's how hard he pushed him down. And then he's gonna whack him in the head with a stick. Intense.
Very intense. Very intense. All right. I don't know if I have anything else. How about you?
Headbutts was fucking intense, dude. Never on screen have I seen anybody murdered by headbutts. Yeah, I think that's it. Good movie. If you want to watch Murder by Headbutts and Slow Death by Sword with Guy No Nose.
Yeah. And if this spoiler conversation has left you intrigued by the many things you've heard, give it a go. Give The Northman a go. It's a fucking experience. Definitely like no other. It's a ride, and you've gotta be willing to take it on, to I think really fully experience it. But if you're willing to give yourself over to it, I think you'll find it a rewarding experience overall. Certainly a memorable one. So yeah, it has been a short turnaround since we last recorded, but maybe you've been up to a thing or two. What do you say? Anything?
So we've talked about my Halo experience, right?
Yeah, we dove into that a little bit. I don't think there's another one that I don't think another episode has come out since then. I could be wrong though.
I don't think I have much else, to be honest with you. I mean, little bit of Elden Ring, but not much.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I've been up to really anything.
It's really, to be fair, it's been a handful of days. So this is a pretty short span of time. We've basically been banking episodes up. I'm about to go on a trip to Chicago for a few days.
Chicago? What are you going to Chicago for?
Anna's cousin is getting married 2 years after they were supposed to get married, and originally after we had flights to Chicago back in April of 2020. But it's finally happening, and we're heading over there for the weekend. So I'm going to be out of commission for the next few days. So worked out that we were able to find the time to take care of this now, and have some fresh takes on the Northman only a day or two after we'd seen it. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm going to be up to. So nothing for you before I have two things that I've been up to, which are very funny in the context of this episode. But anything else for you?
No, that's it. Okay. I've done nothing. What have you been doing?
So I talked about my record store day experiences on. That was on a Saturday. On a Sunday, on that Saturday night, we were wiped because we were up early and out and about all day. Recorded that afternoon, so that night, I sometimes agree to watch things that Anna wants to watch, things that she enjoyed from her childhood that I hadn't seen. And so we watched the Princess Diaries, the first one that night, with Anne Hathaway, and honestly, pretty fun. Pretty fun. I think people like the first one pretty well, and it's a pretty standard kind of cutesy thing, Disney movie, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. Julie Andrews is great, and apparently it's Anne Hathaway's first film appearance, and I didn't know that. And she's fantastic. I swear she looks kind of the same as she did quite literally 20 years ago. I guess she just doesn't age. She just decides not to age. Have you ever seen this? Have you seen any of the Princess
Diaries? Is that the one where she gets confused for the actual princess?
No. So she's like an American teenager, and basically she finds out that her father, who has died, was the prince to like a European kingdom. So
yeah, I don't remember that.
Okay.
I think it sounds.
I'm sure you probably know of it, but yeah, like for me, like I know what it was. I just never had seen it before. Not really like my thing. Obviously, when I'm 9 years old or whatever, when it comes out, I'm a man. I'm a Viking. I don't have time for the Princess Diaries. But anyway, it's actually pretty good. It's exactly what you'd expect, I feel like, but I enjoyed it. It's
we did
pseudo coming of age type thing. But anyway, what you got? You find something?
Yeah, we went and saw Nate Bargatze at the Straz.
Oh, okay, little comedy show.
Yeah, a little comedy show. It was funny because I was telling Sarah, listen, like it was hard to find these tickets. Like they were almost all sold out. And we'd never been to anything at the Straz Center in this big. It's like that's where like you can go see Hamilton, right? It's like that kind of theater. We were all the way in the back, literally last row. There are no further rows in the back.
Okay.
That's where we ended up. We were in the middle, which was pretty cool. But
That's
we were
helpful.
in the middle all the way at the top at the back.
So he's a dot in the theater on the stage, but you could hear him okay, hopefully.
Yeah, you could definitely hear him okay. I mean, it was definitely... I laughed a lot. It also sucked because, like, it's like a theater. It's not like a bar. It's not like going to like the Improv or anything like that.
Sure.
So like,
sure,
getting drinks is highly inconvenient. We showed up like 20 minutes before the show. There was no getting drinks. It's just straight up to the top and watch the show. And it was, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was funny.
Funnier with a beer or two in your system, though.
A beer or two could have definitely been appreciated.
Sure.
But that's the only thing that we've been up to.
Okay. All right. Well, back to the Princess Diaries. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it.
You really did enjoy it.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. It was fun. I think I had a drink or two. It was after we recorded, and it was just a good light G-rated. No, it's the anti-Northman. You know what I mean? I'm
The
just
anti-Northman. Yeah, right.
You don't need to walk in with any sort of expectations. Just sit down and take
and you're
it
not
in, you're
leaving
fine.
ready to get in a fight.
No.
Maybe you'll leave and get in a hug.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, that's pleasant. That's pleasant. I enjoyed it. So anyway, we started the next day. We started the Princess Diaries 2 Royal Engagement, and then we finished it. I think within a couple days. It got worse reviews than the first one. I honestly think they're about the same. I think for me, I would say that the first one's probably a better quote unquote film, but I actually enjoyed the second one more because basically it jumps. Like Anne Hathaway plays like a 15-year-old, and so teenagers are annoying or whatever, and then she graduates college at the beginning of the second one, so she's older and more refined, whatever. But basically she has to get married within 30 days, or she's going to lose her right to assume the throne as queen.
It's like Ultimatum.
Yeah,
like that show we've
basically.
been watching on
There's a challenger for the throne. It's Chris Pine. It's a young Chris
Pine.
Chris Pine is the challenger to the throne.
Oh my gosh.
And so she's got to find love, and who could it be? I don't know. Maybe it's just Chris Pine. Who's to say?
It's probably fucking Chris Pine.
It's not an original film, you know what I mean? But I like the setting because it takes place in this fictional European country, and she lives in a fucking palace, and she's gonna learn how to be queen, but she's klutz, she's a klutz, and and whatever, and it's good fun. And so I just kind of enjoyed the setting and the premise of the second one actually fairly well. And I actually thought it was really fucking funny at times. I don't even think I'd been drinking when I watched it, to be honest, but it was just, some of it was just kind of just well-timed humor, I thought. So I don't know, maybe I'm just easy to please these days. But I don't know, Princess Diaries 3, I'd be down for it. They're both on Disney Plus if anyone needs some lighthearted affair. Anyone needs a post-Northman hangover cure. Princess Diaries is honestly not the worst prescription, I would say. So
Princess Diaries, all right, highly recommended from Colton Brown.
Pretty fucking
Sarah.
fun, man.
Sarah's given me the Donald
She knows.
Trump. Very nice.
Sarah knows. Sarah's seen them both, I'm sure. So anyway, that's all I've been up to. Yeah, it's been a few days, and that's pretty much what I've done besides watch the Northman, work, and sleep, I guess. So anyway, guess we can wrap it up there.
All right, we'll wrap it up there.
All right. So I will say thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. If you enjoyed what you... Wait, did I already... Good Lord, did I already...
Yeah, you just said that.
Fuck me. I was reading a text. I apologize.
I've done that a time or two. That's okay.
I started with it. I'm like, that doesn't seem right. Patreon. We're on Patreon at patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat. You can get early access to all of our regular episodes as well as timed exclusive access to all of our regular episodes. $2 a month will get you all that, and that's very exciting. It's kind of one of those things where at the time I read this is the last of the things we've banked up for a little while, but there will always be regular episodes going up early, so stay tuned for that. There will occasionally be bonus episodes going up there occasionally. Our website is watchreviewrepeat.com. You can find all of our episodes there, information about the podcast, links to our social media accounts. We're on Twitter at WRRPod, on Instagram, Watch Review Repeat, on Facebook, our page is Watch Review Repeat as well. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, and you want to be on a future edition of the Listener's Corner, send some thoughts on the Northman our way. What did you think? What did you think about the two naked men fighting at the volcano? What did you think about it? watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. Send your thoughts our way. We'd be happy to talk about that next episode, whenever you send it. Our intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. So what are we going to do for our next episode? I don't know. It's kind of up in the air. So Moon Knight episode 5 dropped the day we're recording, so we still got one more week for it to wrap up. But like I said, I'll be indisposed for the
So
next
the penultimate
while.
episode is like this episode that's out tonight?
Yeah, episode
Wow,
5. Yeah.
okay.
Gotta cue that one up. And so,
Halo?
so Halo's still got a few more episodes, I believe. So we'll have a little time before we potentially tackle Halo. But I'm just thinking, by the time I'm back in business from coming
Moon
back,
Knight.
maybe it's close to time for Moon Knight, or maybe we could do The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. We talked about Nick Cage a decent amount on this episode.
Yeah, we could.
That film is out, so if you're willing to brave another theater trek, then that might be worthwhile. It's gotten some pretty good reviews, so we'll figure it out. But it'll be a little while before we record again. But certainly plenty of content of late for our listeners to enjoy, and more on the horizon. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what we do next. Go see The Northman. Andrew, take us out.
Ah!
Just a primal scream. Later's on the Menjay.
Ah!